standard naming conventions. Okay, so one of that is actually called BEM naming convention, and there is another one which is also called, okay, OOCSS, object oriented CSS. See, you're told don't do this, instead do like this. Yeah, that's the same thing I'm telling you. Okay, this is wrong, okay, correct, and this is wrong. Okay, why it is correct? CSS property names. Yeah, that's correct, right? So what I'm talking now, the next thing is BEM as a naming convention. Anybody has heard what is BEM as a naming convention?
No, sir.
Okay, so here is an illustration. Okay, now what is that BEM actually stands for? So BEM's, you know, is abbreviation for block, element, and modifier. Now here they're trying to explain to a 5 years old. How do I explain what is BEM naming convention? How do you understand? You consider there is an image here. Yeah, so image of stick man. They're saying this is stick man, correct? Now, so if at all you are trying to write a CSS for this, how do you write it? Yeah, so B in stands for block, fine. So I would like to write the CSS, then choose a class name called stickman. So they're saying, okay, ideal class name will be stickman. Fine. Then, okay, so which means it represents the complete element. That's what is block.
Okay.
Yeah, it is representing the whole thing. That is what is block. So just like what we saw, card. It is representing the whole thing, right? So entire thing. E stands for elements. Now this stick man has a lot of elements. For example, head, hands, tail, or legs. Those are elements which are part of a stick man, correct? Yeah. So yeah, you can use those things. Now, so the you can name this part as head, this element as arm, this element as feet. Now, how do you style these individual things? So according to the BEM naming convention, it says use stick man underscore underscore head. Stick man underscore underscore head. So underscore underscore, after that we put element. We put what? We mention the element. So now what is this? It is one of the standard naming convention which people do use. Huh? Again, should I have to use? Yeah, it's it's completely optional. But some of the project they do follow this naming convention because there are a lot of benefits actually following some convention. You know why? Assume we are all part of one team. I do one thing, no, you will do one thing. Ajay will write in some other way. Do you think it is, it is looking, it will be looking good? At the end, do you think, things are like, nice? Are we following the best? Are we following a uniform approach? No. So BEM is such a naming convention. Yeah, people tend to follow this, or there is another one called OOCSS. So now just to explain what is BEM, yeah, this is how we write the class names, which is belongs to this stickman or an element called head. Let's say for arms, then arms, feet, feet.
Okay, sir.
Then moving on. So M stands for modifiers. Now what is a modification into the stickman? He might have a different color. He might be small. He might be big. correct? Yeah, so those are
Yeah.
like the modifiers to that particular block. So here, yeah, modifier is, it's a blue, this is a red stick, this is a blue stick. In those cases, how do I write my class name? Yeah, when I want to target. So they're saying stickman hyphen blue. For element, we use underscores, two underscores, but hyphens for the modifiers. So through that, people will easily understand, okay, this is a modification to this original class. This is a modification, but then earlier we saw the elements actually. Okay, now what if I have both element and what's a modifier? Small head stick man, big head stick man, correct? Stick man is a block. Head is its element. Small is a modifier, correct? Big is a modifier. Head is a part or an element. Stick man is a block. So in this
Yes, sir.
case, how do we write it? So it says stickman underscore underscore head. After that modifier, it's a small head. There can be a big head. Now look at these class names, huh? Okay, look at these class names. Very easily understandable. Anybody who can easily read English can also understand what is this CSS is all about. What is this class is all about? Correct? Is writing for a head which is big.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these are standard practice, best practices to be followed. Yeah. So, and one of the naming convention is BM. I think another important thing I forgot to tell you, the names try to write as big as possible. Don't make it short. Yeah. Don't make it short. And these styles, like whatever you are using these words, okay, normal, right? You will exhaust actually. You will get exhausted with these things. But you see, this convention, if you follow BEM naming convention, it becomes a lot more easier to read. Again, why to give naming convention? They are only, I mean, there are only two hard problems in computer science. One is cache invalidation, another one is naming the things. Yes, at times you will have to accept you will find challenges in naming what to name, how to name. The thing is, it comes by practice. Benefit, yes, it is going to reduce a lot of mistakes. So you might have intended to write that class for something, but what if I come and change it for something else because I'm totally focusing on a different thing. I don't really understand what is the intention you created it. Yeah. So 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 I think this is important. Yeah, when you're writing CSS, it's not just writing some CSS and making exactly look like it. Yeah, making it same color and all that. Yeah, it is very important you write proper HTML with the right class names. And now I have told you some of the best practices and one standard naming convention called BEM. There is, I think, separate website itself which talks about what is BEM naming convention. Yeah, I remember now. BEM naming convention. There's a website. How to name. They're given examples. They're given a lot of examples. For example, if it is a card, yeah, if it's a big card, small card. So, for example, button. And especially these things, I really find it in libraries. Library authors, they do follow these kind of things. Otherwise, it becomes difficult, especially they are developing in open source. Okay, so yeah, so it's a methodology. it helps you to create reusable components and code sharing in front-end development. So this is how what you are going to write, correct? But if at all you use BEM, then you can just write it like this. So this ampersand stands for this. And again, this is a SCSS. Huh? It's not actually CSS. This is an SCSS feature. So CSS is a preprocessor. So we will have a discussion on what is it actually. So don't worry now. All right, that is on BEM. Yeah, I was telling you there is a OOCSS. That's also one of the naming convention. So let's see what that says. Huh? In simple. So object-oriented CSS. Yeah. Let's see how they have template. I don't think so. This is the same website what I was looking for. Yeah, I was looking for object-oriented CSS. I think, yeah, let's read this article. So, yeah. So this is how we generally write, huh? Me and you, if at all you're writing CSS. But then, yeah. So, yeah, this is like abstraction. And then they're talking about it look like this. You might end up like this. So now we are unnecessarily duplicating style. Yeah, they're telling you what is the general problem, huh? Why we have to why we have to follow some standard naming convention like this. Okay, so not really used. I have not really used the OOCSS, but this is another approach, specifically. Maybe we'll see some examples here. Do they have an example for sure? They should have one example. Okay. No, not really. Okay, I don't get their point actually. What exactly is object oriented? Okay. Yeah, but fine. So just remember. So not that common. Maybe I think it, generally people write in. I mean, I think mix of. Yeah, they have a wiki page. They have a wiki page where you can understand. So, yeah, I think here they have given a good explanation which can easily understand. So in CSS, object is a repeating visual pattern that can be abstracted into independent snippet of HTML and CSS. So what they're saying, if something is repeating, for example, I have a background color which is repeating, I have a color which is repeating, yeah, then put that into one common. That's what they're saying. Or abstract it into one thing. For example, everywhere you're writing, you end up writing some alignment. For example, you might put display flex, yeah. So let's say I'll write one selector, a div. So you might end up putting display flex, yeah. Justify content center, align item center, correct? You added it in the card example. You added twice. What? Instead of like putting and duplicating it, so the OOCS says, why don't you put something like flex center? Abstract into one common class called flex center. Now whichever div you need this, why don't you put this directly into that card, and it has to be in center, put flex center. Able to understand what I'm saying? So this is what OOCSS
Yeah.
says. Yeah. So you extract it so that it is more reusable. That's what is the principle. Yeah. Don't club or don't write too many properties under one single selector itself. Yeah. So they're saying separate structure and skin, separate container and content. So as you can see, they have a here you can read the examples actually. Yeah, they also given. Yeah, even I think I also don't remember because I didn't use it recently, but I think for me also it's something to read. Yeah, this here they've explained with all the examples. I think for example, if I say, I think they have an example here, button. Yeah, so how this should work? Tag. You can use either anchor tag or button. So class name, button. Okay. So possible display, single image, sliding doors, no images. How this should work? Should be possible to float buttons without break inline block. Keep markup low. I think they've given some good practice, like I think on carousel content. Okay, I mean you can read more on that. But in simple words, yes, this is another naming convention. This is another way of naming class actually. Yeah. So though it is not a concept, it is something very important that basically shows you how matured or how knowledgeable you are. Huh? So then there's just writing CSS and okay, you know the properties. Okay, so this is about BEM and naming convention, something which is very important.